Hey, what's up everyone, and welcome back to my channel. So in this video, we're going to talk about how to create your own comic style, and I'll share how I developed mine. I think this video is going to be quite interesting, so let's get into it. So we start off with visual style. So this is where you find artists, comics or cartoons that you like or admire. And then you write down elements you like of each one. It can be the line work, it can be textures, it can be the colors they use, it can be shadings on this one comic. It can be anything. When I was growing up, I read a lot of Archie comics, and Archie was actually the main inspiration that got me started in making hybrids. So Archie is a slice of life comic, which is exactly what I was looking for. And I wanted to do a similar art style as well. But then Scott Pilgrim came along, created by Brian Lee O'Malley. Although Archie was the main inspiration for starting hybrids, Scott Pilgrim's art style was fitting for hybrids. I really liked the simplicity of the line work and how expressive the characters were, the characters felt. So I actually used that as a foundation for my own art style. So when it comes to body proportions, head shapes, hands, and so on. Now, but the one huge influence that actually made me want to create comics is this one manga. I started getting serious about comics because of Naruto. I learned a lot of anatomy through Kishimoto's artwork. So in high school, I was so fascinated with Kishimoto's art style that I wanted to draw exactly like him. I made like a whole style guide with different hairstyles, different eyes of Naruto, different poses. Even made like, copied the buildings and trees and natures of the manga. It was something like, honestly, it was something like one of my best books I ever created. It was just a style guide though. So I made a lot of comics back in the day. But Ivory Hills is the only comic that's actually out there, out in the open. The others, not so much. They're back in like, sketchbooks. But I think I'll make a video one day to show you all how those comics look. Even though I didn't stick with Kishimoto's art style, since I wanted something more simple and less detailed, I still carry some of what I've learned from it. One thing I kept playing around with is the dramatic camera angles he used in Naruto manga. They really make panels feel more dynamic and interesting. So I still bring that into Ivory Hills today. And the visual expressions was inspired by Adventure Time. I did talk about this in another video of mine, so you all can check that video out. My big influence on use of colors is from Steven Universe. I really love how soft and vibrant the palettes were, and lots of pastel colors, which I really like. It showed me how much color can actually add to the storytelling, not just making things look nice, but setting the emotional tone of a moment. That's something I'm still experimenting with hybrids. I'm still experimenting with the colors. So once you found all the inspirations, you begin to trace and study their work, practice, experiment, mix certain elements together, create something brand new, create something that's your own. Okay, let me give you an example. So when I was figuring out how I wanted my characters to look, Scott Pilgrim has these really big, bold eyes, which work great for that style, but it just didn't feel right for what I was going for. So then Archie Comics, on the other hand, used open eyes that weren't fully drawn in. It was simpler but still really expressive. That clicked for me, so I started using that as a base. But I didn't want to copy it exactly, so I tweaked the eyes a bit and added my own twist to it. Let's move on to story style. Okay, with this one, I'm not going to get too much into it, but this is basically the tone of a comic. It's basically the genre. So is it a slice of life comic? Is it a comedy? Is it an action-packed? Is it a spooky comic? You think of all the animations, sitcoms and movies you like. All of that fits what kind of stories you want to tell. For me, I've always been inspired by Archie comics. So I love how they made everyday high school situations feel fun and entertaining. On the other hand, I'm a huge fan of Regular Show, and the friendship dynamic between Mordecai and Rigby definitely influenced how I write my two main characters. So I don't think a lot of people know about the show. The Adventures of Pete and Pete came back in the 90s on Nickelodeon. The Adventures of Pete and Pete, a show that made it feel totally fine to be weird and awkward and different. It took simple childhood stuff like family, friendship, growing up, and gave it a surreal twist while still feeling real and relatable. That mix really stuck with me. When I started creating Highbury, I wanted it to be more than just a comic. I wanted it to feel like a place, kind of like Springfield in The Simpsons, South Park, or Beach City in Steven Universe. A world where you can, step into, full of funny, everyday situations. And finally, we got personal touch. So this is the important part, because this is what makes your comic yours. So this is how you see the world. Basically, you're adding your own life experiences to your own comic. For me, in Highbury, my characters usually end up in these ridiculous but still everyday situations. That really comes from how me and my friends grew up. Life was pretty normal, but there was always some funny twist to it. So that's kind of my voice, and it just naturally comes out in the comics I make. Back then, we also had a ton of pets around the neighborhood, and that gave me the idea to bring animal characters into the mix. So while the humans are off doing their thing, some of the animals have their own little side stories as well. Yeah, so mess around, try different things, and start cooking up something that feels like it's your own. Okay, practical tips. So don't rush your style, it develops over time, and mix different influences together instead of just sticking to one. And keep making comics. The more you draw, the more natural your style becomes. Just keep in mind that consistency is key, but in my case, my consistency sucks. Before I end this video, I first want to show you all something. So the left comic is my first Highbury Heels design, and that comic I uploaded on Facebook years ago. But then it developed into the second image, which is more like a Archie kind of style. And then comes the Scott Pilgrim influence with these two images. And then finally a style I was actually happy with. Wait. One more thing. Highbury Heels was actually first an animation on YouTube. I made this I think 13, 12 years ago. Yeah, the characters mostly smoke weed all the time. Yeah, but that's my video, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.